Councilmember Mr. Davis.
Here.
Councilmember David Lane.
Present.
Councilmember Ricky Warwick. Here. Councilmember Larry Sanders.
Here.
City Engineer Greg Phipps.
Here.
City Attorney Scott Francis.
Here.
City Secretary Marie Campbell.
Here.
City Admin Scott Castleberry. Here. Chief of Police Chief Carlisle. Here. And Captain Jeff Campbell.
I'm here.
All right, thank you, Scott. So before we move on to item 3, Chief Carlisle, you got somebody you'd like to introduce to us?
Yes, I'm actually pretty happy about this hire. Brian Norris, no relation. I think he's an excellent hire. He's retired out of a suburb in Chicago. He was an investigator over there 20 some odd years. 24 years. 20 how long?
24 years.
And, half of that was investigations, and he's got a couple of years here in Montgomery County in the Conroe area, and I think we got lucky that somehow we got on his radar. He came and did a ride along. He said this is the perfect place for him, and we said you're the perfect officer for us. And today is his second day on duty, and I have full confidence to leave you guys in his hands to provide security for your meeting tonight, because I have another meeting I have to go to. What? So.
Well, congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Pleasure.
Welcome aboard, bro.
His name is Brian Norris, and he's all yours.
So not Candy, any other Bryans? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll see y'all
All
next
right.
meeting.
Chief, thank you.
I talked to him, I'm gonna put him on hot take.
All right.
I'm gonna leave at 6, because I'm not getting.
Moving on to item 3, with the captain's permission. Discuss and consider the implementation of zoning regulations with the city of Roman Forest and take possible action to establish policies and procedures for enhancing, adopting, and enforcing zoning regulations. My understanding tonight is that we are going to be marking off some properties that are probably, we know what exactly they're going to be, so.
I pulled up on the
Yes.
board, I guess, I just pulled up Appian, because they got the most red tags in my office on the wall. And then we got the map that we can mark on.
Sure. Councilor, how do y'all want to?
Just real quick, we actually can't take action in the workshop meetings, but the form action, potential action in the next, either a special meeting or a regular.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. This is just a workshop. No decisions will be made tonight. So who wants to start coloring, David?
I'm gonna do my map.
So can I ask just some general questions?
Sure, absolutely.
So can you zoom out there? What I'd like to see is either the area we talked about by Shrek Pond or down by Pine Pond. Either one is a good example. So around Fountain View, this is a question for our attorney. Almost all the properties not on Shady Lake, but all the properties on Fountain View that are not that border this canal are zoned, or by deed restrictions, they're unrestricted.
Okay.
So the question is, can we make that a single family area? There is one property, it's one of these in here, that's a fourplex. I think it's this one here, is a fourplex. Everything else is single family right now. There's some vacant lots.
Okay.
But the desire would be to, where we have some vacant lots, kind of like this is 3 lots combined, right? If somebody were to buy that abandoned house, not abandoned, empty house, it's been empty for 6 years, that if somebody were to buy that, in theory, they could tear that down, they could put in an apartment complex of any size they wanted, they could put in a gas station, they could put in anything. Right? And the desire would
If
be
it's not zoned outside, if it's.
That's right. So would you zoom back out a little further? No, out. So my request would be, I guess, given all of this other area and this entire section is single-family residential, is to keep that single-family residential throughout. And then we have the same thing if we go up by Shrimp Pond. NASDAQ, how we doing?
How do you get rid of it?
I think if you just click.
I think you just click
over
outside
that,
of it, yeah.
There we go. So up here, this is what used to be the convent, and it's probably 8 or 10 single-family residential lots that are replatted as one.
Okay.
So again, I believe it has a deed restriction on it or a covenant or something that travels with it that says it has to be religious. But if somebody were to buy that and somehow get that covenant removed, it's unrestricted as well. So the request would be that that entire section be single family as well, to keep the single family nature of that section.
And you can do, remember, you can zone an area, single family. And that will not necessarily, it will still essentially just run with the, whatever the deed restrictions are. Now, if there's a covenant that specifically, I suppose, allows multifamily,
Well, it doesn't say anything.
or it just doesn't say
It's
anything on it,
unrestricted.
well, so that is kind of even easier, so you make it, it's just unrestricted, so that might be what the deed and the covenant running with it is unrestricted. However, if there, you can still pass and say, this is per city zoning, the only single family homes can be built on this property. They would have to adhere to the city's zoning regulations, even if their deed says it's
But you have to give
unrestricted.
them, you have to have the-
What you can't do is, unless, you can't just make them tear down an existing home.
Yeah, not
Right, exactly. It would have to
So the
go
concern
forward.
here for all the residents in this area would be if that entire thing sold, as it recently transferred hands.
Mhm.
Right, but if it's sold to a private developer, in theory, they could put a, 200-unit apartment complex in there, and that would completely change the character
But
of
potentially,
that
right,
area
but
of the
if
city.
and if it's sitting empty right now, and who owns the
Well,
property?
it was.
Radiator
the-
Coalition owns it.
Oh, right.
Right. And so right now, it's not going to be developed for something else, there's not an intent, but my request would be that we consider preventing that from ever being anything other than.
I think you, by zoning
what
it,
is now.
putting it into a single
But,
family zone,
Given its,
again, it wouldn't change, it wouldn't force them to tear anything down necessarily, but if it was bought by somebody else, that, they would have to know, we're purchasing a lot that's now sits within a single family zone. If we're going to build anything on it, it would have to be
so
a
originally,
single family.
that was 14 lots, right? So in theory,
Right.
that could be a lot of multifamily if somebody was going to take that
Right.
and do something.
Now, the problem
Or a water park, or, who knows what it could be if it's completely unrestricted, I guess is the concern.
Right, but that's, again, you can still pass, this is now zoned in a single family, so long as you're not disrupting what they're currently doing, that is where it is zoned, and anything in that is going to have to adhere to any kind of covenants that run with the land, as well as you're now situated on the city's single family zoning property.
Okay.
The only issue that I think I would have to look a little bit more into is if they would have a claim, is some kind of legal claim of, I guess it'd be kind of like an inverse condemnation or a regulatory taking of the property that has now 14 lots that are now into one, and if it's zoned as now that single lot that has all that space is now, can only have one single family home on it.
Yeah, well, I think they would be able to revert that back, right? They would
Yeah,
have
they
to
could get it
replat
back
it,
into
but they
it,
could
right.
replat it back to the original.
So then it has
14
value,
lots.
and it still has value to them, and they can, I mean, that would be their option.
Which will be a better value.
Right, probably.
Right, but again, my goal would be just to keep that characteristic of that section of our city, right? That I don't think any of those residents want a large-scale multi-family unit going in there, or a grocery center going in there, or strip center, or healthcare, or something else.
You can
Intent is-
certainly make sure it is not going to be any kind of industrial, commercial business.
Well, but right now we
And-
can't because it's unrestricted.
Right, but with your zoning laws, you could, like, through your zoning
Yes, sir.
order, you could do that.
And that would be the intent, in my mind, is to keep the character of certain sections of our city the way they are now for the areas that do have large parcels that are unrestricted.
I absolutely agree with that and what you said about Pine Pond too.
Other than that, I guess the questions we had from previously were Councilman Mullane had asked about if we can restrict businesses to certain areas. So then gas stations, if we could restrict those to either major intersections or certain streets like Appian or Roman Forest. Same with liquor stores, alcohol, tobacco sales, less desirable businesses, tattoo parlors, tire shops, sexually oriented businesses, anything like that. We would want to very limit what areas of the city they can be in if we can't prevent them entirely. And then I'm assuming also through the zoning ordinance, restrict the height of structures. So right now, nothing in the city is greater than 2 stories. And we'd like to preserve that. Again, taking an apartment complex there, right, that we don't want a 3 or 4 story apartment complex going in someplace that is over the trees or something like that, that becomes, for lack of a better term, an eyesore. If we can limit the number of units in a single multifamily structure, right now I think we're probably 6 or 8 in some of the structures that are on Appian. I don't know, I didn't go by and count the number of doors, but I think most of the buildings are 1 story and they've got 6 or 8 units.
I know of 6. Do you know of anything over the 6? In
So-
the single building?
So one is
I mean,
cleared with,
The ones on Appian are not
so one is cleared on Appian. They haven't done anything with it for 6 months or so.
longer than that.
But
think Josh
I don't know
is-
what their intent is, but my desire, right, just personal, would not to have a multi-story building that's multifamily greater than 2 stories, because we do have some of the row houses that are 2 stories.
Right.
And then have nothing that is a balcony entry like a motel, right? That if you're gonna have something, it has to be an inside corridor to get to them or individually keyed on the first floor where you don't have, but again, just trying to keep the.
Sure, and yeah, I mean,
characteristics the same.
again, you don't have to necessarily go by, well, this already exists, so we have to at least have that be our outside boundary. You can make it stricter than that, you just can't necessarily change what they already have.
Yeah, I don't know if we have anything that again, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think I have anything that I would object to, something similar to that going in, but would like to regulate what areas of the city they can go in so that you don't have a multifamily next to 4 single-family residential homes or something that's gonna change their parking, the lighting, the whatever it is. The characteristics of what they want is a single-family bedroom community.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, like, you can have different zones for multifamily residential, for single-family residential, and you can regulate.
Can we regulate
height
the number of
building,
units in a building, or?
I mean, I think, I don't know, ipso facto, you certainly can, you can have height restrictions, and then that essentially is just going to take care of itself, but you can only have so many units. that are-
Right, so that you have to have the setbacks, you have to have a certain amount of parking. I think that's what was on my list, I don't think I have. The only other thing is, both in the area that Thornberry turned over for their section 1 of development, as well as anywhere else in the city, I don't know what reserves, if any, the city owns, but can we designate any pocket parks and put either a piece of playground equipment or picnic tables or something on them to get that benefit of the safety zones throughout the city that we were trying to do with Southern Oaks Water System, the first development under Thornberry Development. They were going to turn over some lots, which I don't think we've ever had turned over. And then also in phase 2 of that development, they were going to turn over certain lots.
He's marked the ones for phase 2 where that is, but phase.
There was talk about some of them on phase 1 being just off of Roman Forest, but they've never been turned over. At least to the best of my knowledge, they've never been turned over.
Not that I'm aware of either. no,
Not
sir.
that I'm aware of either.
But again, the long-term goal is pocket parks throughout the city to set that legal distance requirement for certain businesses or halfway houses or anything else to determine where they can be located. I think we can, again, we can't prevent them, but we can regulate them.
Councilman Wolf? Questions or comments on this?
No, just on Appian Way, if we're gonna make that a commercial road, just on this side of the road, not where the houses are being built. I'm gonna gas stations on this side, they can build them on the other side, but not where the resident houses are gonna be tied in or touching them.
Where are you
Build it
specifically looking at there?
Yeah.
This lot's vacant, it's been cleared, I wouldn't want a gas station right there, but these houses right here. Build everything on this side, nothing commercial, like gas stations.
So
on
it's,
the side of the road.
right now, I think those are all unrestricted on Appian, right? And so and that's what we're here for, is
Yeah.
to discuss if we want to further,
I mean, I know I
Zone
wouldn't want
where
to
we
live next
want.
to a gas station.
well, I think most of them, right?
Right.
Especially like if you look at not the single one out, but the one in our community now, the Fuel Max, right? If the lights are on 24 hours a day, then without a high fence that goes out of our deed restrictions, right, for an 8-foot fence, then you've got that as a constant nuisance if you're the one next to it.
Yeah, so that's Magnolia Bend coming up from the bottom, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, so the one on the
Yeah.
left, that
Yeah,
one that
that's
ends
been
in
cleared.
14 has been cleared,
Mhm.
and then the Appian Deli is kind of across from there a little bit. That one there, I believe, is the Appian Deli.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about Shady Lake, there's houses and the church is right there, so.
Correct. Well, again, it's all built out now, but it's not, if it's unrestricted, then it doesn't restrict them in the future for what they can do. But I don't think there are already unrestricted ones on Shady Lake.
Yeah, so I agree with Councilman Warwick, so take the side we're on now, or take the side where where Magnolia Bend enters that, and that cannot be commercial, so go across on the other side of Appian Way from Roman Forest Boulevard,
This can be
yeah,
commercial, none
all
of this
the
can
way.
be commercial.
yes,
And right now, that's
Yeah.
multifamily for the most part, right? There's
yeah. It is.
sixplex, eightplex, whatever they are
Mhm.
along Appian for those. But there is one or two single-family homes. I think the one just left of the corner lot, the one that ends in 13, is a single-family home.
Correct.
Yep, it
And
is.
then there are duplexes there on the right side of,
077, 07,
Magnolia.
and 076 are duplexes.
right. And then as you go down Appian, right now, it's pretty open.
Mhm.
And who owns 14, does it say who owns 14?
Say again, sir?
Who owns,
The one that's been
1514?
cleared.
Who
Yeah,
owns
it's on
this?
that corner
Who
right
owns
there.
I think the Millers do.
The one that's been cleared?
No, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one.
Quarter one
The one next to Dogwood
No,
Elementary.
that's the right one.
On that corner.
No,
No, that's the right one. The quarter one development owns.
That's the one
that's
they cleared.
Right.
That's the one that's,
So
I was wondering if the water company owned it, but I guess.
no,
not.
sir, they do not.
my understanding is it was going to be multifamily is what they permitted it for?
That's what the water department told me.
It was gonna be, yeah, apartments,
Right, and do it single story? or-
single story apartments, is my understanding.
So similar to the ones that are on Appian.
It's the same building.
Okay. I mean, they've done a nice job with them. I think the only issue we've ever had with them in council is the gates on their dumpsters, whether or not they can be metal or wood was the only thing that's ever come up that I know of.
yeah, they weren't the ones with the parking issues, were they?
Mhm. Not that I know.
No, not that. So anything, so I think we would all agree, because we've already talked about Pine Pond, so anything within that neighborhood. So if you take this side of, our side of Appian Way, you go in, you take Roman Forest Boulevard, you go in, you take Dogwood, and you come in. Everything in that area to the pipeline should be, actually, I'm sorry, all the way to Hummingbird, should be single family dwelling. I mean,
That would, right, and I think the same thing on
yeah,
the other side of Roman Forest, that I don't think anybody in those sections want commercial development within there.
yeah. With the exception of when you come across the bridge to Chariot, turn to go to, was that Creekside Room?
Yeah. So there's, I think, 3 or 4 lots just between the park and Venus that somebody has come in and talked one time about developing into multifamily, and because of the flooding issues, they seem to have not come back to discuss that any further.
Yeah, you haven't heard anything else about that, have you?
That was right before I got here.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
they never come back.
Never come back.
They were told we wouldn't allow them to do that, because they wanted to chop those properties up.
Yeah.
To minimum, below our standards, and they wanted setbacks.
Right.
Restrictions eased up.
And I think on the other side of Roman Forest from the park, there's still a couple of lots that are for sale that are, or the one there is for sale, and that's unrestricted.
That one in the corner right there is for
Yeah,
sale.
right there.
Mhm.
So that's
That one
likely
in
to
the
be,
corner right here.
right, that one's likely to be commercial at some time in the future.
Mr. Francis, Mr. Francis,
Yes, sir.
last time we spoke of this matter, you had mentioned that we could take lots that were zoned unrestricted, send them letters. If they didn't protest, they would be reverted back to residential.
If they're empty lots,
Yes.
well, that would be right. Yeah, I mean, if they're unrestricted, it's an empty lot, there's nothing been built on it, they haven't actually started any if they've started a process on it, you might owe them some kind of compensation. But yes, it would be zoned. The thing is, you zone it towards whatever the city plan is, so long as you're not discriminating or singling anybody out, they fall into a residential zone. Any place that was an empty lot that was previously had an unrestricted covenant with it, it's now a single-family residential home. If somebody had purchased it with the intent to create a business and they purchased prior to you rezoning to single-family, there may be some kind of, it could either be considered a non-conforming use if they've already started the process. If they're early enough in the process, there might be some kind of compensation owed for any kind of.
So that
they've
one right
already
now
started,
is
but-
untouched as far as I know, right? Nothing's been
Then-
submitted on
then
it.
it would
and
be-
I guess that one to me is kind of one of the gray areas, right? It's right there on Roman Forest adjacent to other commercial, but it's also across the street from residential. So
Mhm.
I could see arguments for it.
I mean, again, it's, it would not restrict, it would not, an unrestricted property does not stop the city from creating its zoning districts. The part of what you want to be doing here, which is what you guys are doing, is looking at kind of what's already in the character. It's a good idea to try to minimize the instances of what would be considered a non-conforming use because it's already has something on it and now it's going to be in a district where that's technically not supposed to be allowed. That would just make the existing building a non-conforming use, and it's typically you want to try to minimize the instances of non-conforming uses. But if nothing's already been on it, then it would have to adhere going forward with how the city
But
has
even in
zoned
the
it.
case of a non-conforming, you could give it a variance grandfathered and say, as long as the building doesn't change character, it can stay, but if you tear it down,
It has to have
go
single
back to
family
residential.
or, right.
Okay.
Or if there's a single family home that you now designated in the business area, then same thing.
Can you click on that one? Is that R6? What is that
That
one
one?
right there? What is its actual property description? Is that a reserve? It doesn't say.
This is on Matthews Reserve.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's not that big. I was just curious. I think that was originally a reserve rather than a specific use, right, for single family or anything. There's several reserves that are unrestricted in that section 1. Oh, there it was. No. Yeah, type R. So I think that's one of the reserves.
Oh my God. That's really good.
Sure. And then you would want to take up zoning to rename Shrek Pond Turtle Pond?
make some people who are very happy to get rid of that name, turn it into Turtle Pond. I live with one of them.
Mr. Francis, one more question. Can we totally outlaw certain businesses from entering the city? And the reason why-
Not unless they're already, if they are authorized to do business under the laws of the state of Texas, you cannot prevent them from operating within the city. You can regulate them, but you can't prevent them completely.
And the reason why I asked is there was a push about 5 years ago when six organization was going to each city council, and through some sort of legal legislation, it was getting cities to ban abortion clinics in the city. Hundreds of them done. And the reason why I was asking, if that could be, if it can't be allowed in the city, it would also lead me to indicate that there may be other businesses that follow this position.
Well, so long, I mean, we can't go beyond what the state statute allows. So if there is, we can't, I mean, we've had it, massage parlors have been the bane of many cities wanting to just outright ban them. Fortunately, you can't outright ban them. You can regulate them, you can investigate them, you can monitor them, you can make sure they're not doing illegal activity, but you can make sure that they're operating only in certain zoning areas, make sure that they have all the licenses that are required, but you can't outright say we're not allowing this kind of business. If it is a legal operating business that has a license with the state of Texas, you can't outright ban it from the city.
Thank you.
So this process of deciding how we want to color in, whatever, how we want to designate properties, once that process is done, and we have a map with all everything designated, what is our next step?
The next step is to say what happens in each one. How do we want to restrict items in the business district? How do we want to have
Can we do that individually or in each zoning category?
They have to be per zoning category.
So we write an ordinance that says these areas are zoned single-family residential in the city of Roman Forest. We take the ones that are already zoned that way, and then add to it the ones that we want to change from unrestricted to essentially restricted to single-family residential.
Right, so basically if it was in, you can have multifamily district, you can have a single-family district, you can have mixed-use residential district.
So if we have 5 districts, that's 5 ordinances, or how do we do that?
No, it could all be in one ordinance. It would be, it sets up, these are the various zones, and then, okay, and now in residential, single-family residential zone, these are the restrictions. In multifamily residential zone, these are restrictions. In mixed-use residential zone, these are the restrictions. In business, commercial, and then even divide kind of commercially, maybe different subcategories, and then list what restrictions are for each. It can all be in one.
So for the multifamily, if we have some that are existing multifamily outside of the areas we want them in, to avoid contradictory, I don't recall the term used, contradictory. Non-conforming use. To avoid that, we could put that single lot in with the multifamily area, and it would just be an isolated building that's somewhere that's already existing as a multifamily.
Again, you don't have to avoid non-conforming uses. It's just usually that when you're implementing zoning already where a lot of structures are already existing, to reduce the number of non-conforming uses, you likely try to go, okay, what's already in this area? You don't necessarily have to say there's a single. Okay, there's one multifamily building in an area we'd like to be.
I know there's one on Fountain View, and I think there's one up the very tip of Shrek Pond that's a duplex or a triplex or something.
You don't have to make the map ridiculous looking just to bring them in and reduce non-conforming uses. It would just be a non-conforming use and say, well, if that is.
But we would grandfather that as part of the ordinance. We
Right.
would say that these are given a variance until such time as the building is
Right,
substantially renovated, more than 50% of its value were removed.
Right. I mean, that is how the law goes. It's better to put it in the ordinance so it's clear, but that is essentially how the law is going to go anyway. So whether it says it or not, it has to be.
Hey, could you zoom way out on there, Mr. Castleberry? So what about the ETJ that is not currently within the city, but is, right, if you look at that area way off to the right there, that's part of, that's our extraterritorial jurisdiction. It has future lots laid out but not constructed, and I think the road is part of Roman Forest, but not the land on either side of it. So can we create a zoning area out there as well so that?
Not outside the city.
Okay. So in theory, if somebody were to buy that entire parcel, they could say, put in a Katy Mills Mall out there, and we can't control that. My real concern is not Katy Mills Mall, it's a data center, right? If somebody buys all that land and they say, we're gonna put in our own water system, we're gonna put in our own sewer system, we've got whatever it is, 1,000 acres, we're gonna put in a data center out here and there's nothing you can do to stop
There
us.
might be certain things that you can do to stop certain kinds of businesses and certain kinds of activities there. You're not completely hamstrung with it, but you can't put it into your zoning district regulations. There might be certain things that you can still prevent from happening there. Data centers, I'd have to look into that, but.
I mean, we wouldn't control it for permitting or anything else at this
Right.
point, right? Because it's an ETJ that's just county, I believe.
Let me ask you another question. Let me ask council this. Do y'all agree that businesses should be limited to Appian, Galaxy, and Roman Forest where those intersections meet?
By and large, I do. Right, not a 100% exception, but I mean, those are the only ones that come to mind that the way it's currently, I'll say, intended in the original city charter, that the unrestricted lots are on Roman Forest, Appian, and Galaxy.
Yeah, well,
There's a few outliers like we talked about, but
you know, and the ones that's already got houses on that are reserved, I'd like to make those residential, because they already got houses on them. You know?
Right.
They said you can do that with letters.
correct.
To be honest with you, I'm just gonna say this out loud. If it's already on Appian Way in Galaxy, and there's nothing on it, I don't mind those residential with it.
And that's not a problem.
What's that?
You can certainly, I mean, you know, if you want, if you can make zone a commercial, you can split it up. So I'm not, you know, you might not want to try to, you know, hook in one single lot for multifamily. But if you want to restrict commercial to so many blocks from intersections, you can do that. And then where it's like, okay, it's one commercial zone is at Galaxy and,
If I'm understanding the question correctly, is, I think what I heard was, if it's already built commercial, that's what we write the ordinance to, but everything else in the city becomes single-family residential and no more new commercial comes in, period, full stop, is what I understood you to say. Same with multifamily, you said we're done. We have multifamily in this lot, we have multifamily started on this lot, it's got a permit, no more, we're done. Everything else in the city is single-family residential, period, full stop.
I'd have to see the full map to see if there's some
Only
kind of
permit.
weird, discriminatory thing you might be doing for one certain lot, but I don't see an issue with that.
What we're doing is stopping future development of anything commercial, though. We're saying if it's not already built, it's not going to be built. If you don't already have a
That's
permit
the-
pull, it's only gonna be residential.
And when I said that, these three councilmen, and two about myself, I don't know how you feel, but they all agree with it. Yeah. Because to be honest with you, you know,
I mean,
the residential neighborhood
I guess that-
is more, I don't want to see machine shops going here. I don't want neon signs and what they have.
I guess the minor exceptions I would have to say to that is like Appian Deli came in recently, and I think that's been a real benefit to the city to have a food source for prepared meals in the city. I think it's been very well received. I don't think that they've gouged the people with outrageous prices like certain gas stations have that are outside the city but nearby. I think that they've done a very good job of being part of the community, and I wouldn't be really upset to see a restaurant go in or something like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
But I do agree with everything else.
Yeah, that's what I just don't, you know, if it's already got a business there, or like you said, a business there, that's one thing, but if it's not, if it's the empty lot, or if it's already got a house sitting on it, then let's take that back to residential.
So just thinking out loud, thinking this through, with the development that's starting for phase 2 of Southern Oaks Waters, and then they've got another 350-ish lots in the back of Roman Forest.
Yeah, east.
Right, so no more, right, you can't have another Dollar General come in, you can't have another dollar store, you can't have a small grocery store, you can't have another gas station.
Well, that's.
That's gonna be a lot, you're gonna double the size of the city almost with no more commercial.
Well, one thing to consider is, again, with a regulatory taking side, if you have one business on one lot, you have a blank lot that's owned by a business or something, it's just owned by some kind of property owner, and then the next lot next to it is another business, and we zone that middle lot as a single-family residential, that property owner, although they can't necessarily stop it, if they haven't developed, they might have a claim and say, well, we don't feel like we really have the same amount of value in this property anymore, because we don't think we can sell it to somebody who wants to build a single-family residence in between these two businesses, and they might come out, that might have a claim of a regulatory taking.
That's not the exception I'm looking for.
Mhm.
The exception, you know, obviously, I want to have a commercial property at the corners of Roman Forest Boulevard and Galaxy, Roman Forest Boulevard, and Appian Way. When there's already established one or two businesses,
Mhm.
yeah, the other lots can be commercial.
Right, right.
Because, you know, like I said, nobody wants to live next to a gas station.
Right,
Like
right.
Mr. Wolf said. So, yeah, those, leave those commercial. But I'm just talking about up and down, say the boulevard here, or behind me, as you come in on the boulevard, all the way to the left, there's a lot of commercial properties there, or reserved properties.
I like the direction Councilman Warwick was going with this, is on Appian Way, we can restrict. Here's the thing, guys. People, and I'm not talking about the bedroom community that has existed. I'm talking about the way the growth is going out. People do move into neighborhoods sometimes because of conveniences. I don't know that I would stop all commercial, okay? I think I would probably regulate it with good ordinances and good foresight to get out ahead of it. I like his ideas of one side of Appian Way, because you are separating your residential from your commercial. But I don't know that I would completely limit. I don't know that I would completely zone everything for residential.
So keep it just to Appian and take everything on Roman Forest and make it residential, or still leave, if you could zone back
I
out?
like his idea of the corners,
Right.
the major corners
So
on the
you take major
boulevard.
intersections and you
But
send it for.
use part of Appian Way for some commercial development. You know,
Yeah, we can leave some, because there's a lot of commercial already on that.
and what I don't want to see done is any of the reserves be labeled as commercial, because that allows a lot larger business. Say that again, Councilman?
I was just gonna ask if you could go out to Roman Forest where the new section is being developed.
What'd you say, Councilman?
But, you know, like I just, if the lots on the boulevard that have houses next to them,
Yeah,
I don't think nobody wants a gas station over there.
yeah,
And if it's already got a home, or it's an empty lot, except for those intersections.
right, yeah.
Those need to be regressed.
No, I agree with you. From Chariot all the way to, might as well say to Appian Way.
Right, so
I don't see we need any commercial zoning there, you see what I'm saying? But
take
the
those
corners at Appian Way, some of it's already there.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that, and when you get down to Galaxy and the Boulevard, the same thing.
Right.
Some parts of Appian Way would be great, but not on the side where it's already residential housing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I would probably set aside some commercial development area, but restrict it to an area.
Right, because if you look, like,
I forgot my map.
if you take Roman Forest Boulevard from Cherry Plains all the way to Stevens Circle, everything on that's all reserves. But I believe there's a house on every one of them.
Sure.
Yeah, so I would like to have those at least
Residential.
residential, yes, sir.
No, I agree with you. I'm just talking about parts of Appian Way
Right.
and corners at certain major intersections on the boulevard. Everything else in the city needs to be residential.
I agree.
Okay.
That's where I was getting at.
And reserves do not need to be labeled as.
so some of the
That
ones
allows
that
for
are
much larger.
question is right in the,
Is it residential, restricted, is it that commercial?
Yeah, that's
that one, this is Roman Forest
Well, unrestricted,
Boulevard,
they can do
and this is where the new
Right.
section.
Commercial, what I'm saying is, we want to be careful.
Yes, it starts.
That one, I think if they want,
Or no,
someone's gonna want that as commercial.
Zone commercial.
Right, this one's
Some of them
fuel
considered
maps.
unrestricted. We're gonna be the ones that.
We already have a house.
That raises anything, it's not
There's
zoning.
a gas station right there.
That's not, I wouldn't want this gas station and gas station, make all these houses. They gotta go somewhere, they can.
That's a house already right here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want a gas station right across the street.
No.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, that's terrible.
No, but I think what our attorney is saying also, we need to be, kind of have a pattern and be consecutive. We can't pick here and there. We need it
You
to,
technically can, but you want to lower, you want to avoid anybody kind of coming in and saying, well, I bought this believing that it was going to be, everything else around it is more like this, so I bought it thinking that I was going to be able to build
So you're
this on it.
better off saying that 3 lots inside of a major intersection, and the major intersections are considered these 8 roads?
I mean, potential, I mean, again, you just have to color the map in such a way that it makes sense and you're minimizing what might be a empty lot that around a lot of businesses that now saying, well, actually, it's empty and we'd like a resident, we don't want more businesses, so we're gonna have this one be
I
residential.
mean, in my mind, I can justify if it doesn't have a current stop sign on Roman Forest, then it's not a major intersection. Right, so you've got Appian and you've got Tramp.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
You get
it.
that, yeah, Appian
And you
Galaxy.
say 2 lots either side of a major intersection that currently has a stop sign, which are only these streets, then that disqualifies those we were just talking about because it doesn't have a stop sign on Roman Forest, right? It's not a major intersection.
What do you think about that?
We also need-
I like that idea.
Yeah, it's good.
And we just need to decide how many lots are we gonna designate coming off of that intersection. Is it 2 lots? Or is it 3 lots? 3 lots covers a lot. Yes, sir.
I'm not saying much. If we got a tax base here, and we got sales tax, we get 0 tax base off any
Zero
commercial
sales
property.
tax. You are
Well, we
correct.
know we get property tax off of commercial property,
I
but we don't get a sales tax. We still get
understand.
the value of the
I
property.
know that, but we don't get any sales tax.
That's correct.
And how much sales tax will make more revenue than property tax, you know, on business. I don't know how much sales tax we get off people, but making everything commercial down Appleton, I don't think, because if you're on one side residential, I wouldn't want to be on one side of Appleton and residential and have a string of businesses across the street with lights on the wrong line.
The only thing it benefits us is if the citizens really want a particular convenience.
And people move to neighborhoods for the convenience. I mean, and they do. When they look in there and they look and see, the bistro's nice. The gas station at Galaxy and Boulevard's nice. Nice to have that now. There's some businesses that probably don't want to see coming here. Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, we have to regulate those with regulations, ordinances, and get out ahead of anything they may be thinking of. Yeah. Yeah.
What's this for?
That's for later.
That's right.
That's a separate discussion.
Yeah, it's still early, dude.
So, can I,
Hope you didn't have plans for this evening.
Yes, sir, Greg.
so, on the backside, east of Galaxy, you've got what was golf course with large tracks. They're ideal for an apartment builder to come into. But it's also, if you go to residential, just single family residential. Those are areas that is there enough room to put a street in, to plat it, to go to single family residential or to small houses. So I'm just wondering, I mean, that back there is kind of outside, out of mind right now, but one day it's going to develop, there will be water and sewer one day. So that's that area there. And then on the other hand, if you did the entire city residential, you could always have zoning, rezoning
Let's listen to him.
opportunities
Yeah.
that then you have a 200-foot around that area, I think it's 200 feet. Everybody gets noticed. You go to public hearings and you go through the process. If they want a Dollar General at the corner,
Yeah.
and it's residential, you do have a vehicle in place to go get it, but you're dealing with.
So you're-
Primarily, you're notifying the 200 feet,
Yeah.
but the entire city gets to sit in and give their opinion on it.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so something to consider when we are discussing those zones, so, yeah. Interesting.
But that's,
Yeah. All right,
We have to also look at, you got City of Houston that that joins right up to some of our stuff, too, that we need to keep, none of that stuff should be commercial or residential, right?
their ETJ you're talking about?
That's in the ETJ.
yeah, so you did that strip annexation
Mhm.
that goes way out
Mhm.
along the south edge of the city, and that strip is City of Houston's ETJ.
Yeah, right there.
It's not our city limits, their ETJ touches our ETJ.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you heard enough information, Marie's got to start coloring the map?
Sure.
Okay. Because the next time we meet and discuss this, we need to have that, and we're gonna pick out properties that need to be discussed, or areas that need to be discussed. So, we've got our map colored and we've got our ordinances written. Next step. What's the next step? Bring it to the.
Bring it to.
An open house, or-
Bring it to a
I'm sorry,
open meeting. Yes, anything that is going to affect change properties within a 200 foot radius, they have the right to come in, send them a letter, say this is changing for you specifically,
Mhm.
and they have a right to come in and voice their opinion, have their complaints or thoughts known. Council can consider that and then make an action and pass an ordinance, and then once it's passed, that's there, and then you can, and then from there, it's on the books, it's the law of the city, and then you adjust as may be necessary in the future. If there's an additional, I think we need to stop this in our multifamily or our mixed-use areas, you can.
So council can come back and discuss that again, absolutely. So since no property in the city has ever been zoned, doesn't the new zoning ordinance affect everything?
It would affect everyone, essentially, if they have a town hall, and everybody gets to come in and say.
Yeah, so the other rule applies if we're making a change to a particular area or property, it gets within that 200 feet if it affects anyone within that.
If it is future, yeah, that would be more for the future. If your property is being rezoned from commercial to residential or vice versa or something like that.
Okay. One town hall meeting, was it two?
No, I think I believe it's just one town hall, and I believe you can even make the decision, you close the town hall and then you open the discussion amongst council, and then council can take action to pass it right then and there, pass it with alterations or just say, everybody brought up a good point, I think we need to look back at this, have another workshop, and then come back again with new rules, so it's,
So let's do that. What we're gonna do on the map, you know the ones that we're gonna do single family dwelling. You pretty much got that figured out.
of that, yes.
leave the major intersections with stop signs. Magnolia Bend, Appian, not Magnolia Bend, Appian Way, Galaxy Trim. Leave the lots at the corners blank for us to discuss.
Do you want, I was talking to Greg, and some of them have the maps, like, y'all are passing back and forth, but does everybody want to make one? So, I mean, is Ricky's idea the same as Mitch's idea?
So, right, I think we need to, like, start with a draft and then maybe have another one of these meetings where we have that talked out. But right now, we're saying the only commercial would be the ones when you cross the bridge that are already there.
Right.
Right, that next one that's for sale, the ideal would be that be single-family residential as opposed to commercial, but that one I'm kind of wishy-washy on.
One right on the corner.
On,
Right on the corner.
right, the one at Appian and Roman Forest, all 4 of those lots are commercial. There's the Dollar General, there's the medical, there's the office building next door to us here, and there's the church. Right, so as you go left on Appian, you've got multifamily, right? The first 2 lots are multifamily. As you go right on Appian, it's all multifamily until you get to Appian. Till you get to the Appian Deli,
Right. and then-
right? And then you say, no more multifamily, we're done, right? That's all built out, everything from Magnolia Bend to the Dollar General is multifamily, right? Appian Deli is the exception because it's built out as a commercial. The only other commercial we're going to allow is the lots at Roman Forest and Galaxy across from the Fuel Max. Right, so either on Galaxy, a couple of lots either side of,
No, we got the 4 corners.
that's right.
As I say.
But you,
Mhm.
what, is it 1 parcel, is it 3 parcels
Yeah,
either
that's
side
right.
of the corner? That's the only thing really in question. But that's the only place we're going to allow future commercial is at the corner of Roman Forest and Galaxy, no more commercial.
I do too.
That's what we're saying in here, just broad statements.
And Galaxy, Mr. Francis, Galaxy is going to eventually be a thoroughfare from 99.
Oh, shit.
It's going to come through Peachtree Forest, down Running Deer, and be taken in. There's an exit on 99 already for that, and that's going to encompass.
The question would be,
Cross the boulevard, take up Trail Road. And my understanding is it's already this 90. So, with knowing that that's going to happen.
Right, but you could still zone it.
Our part of that,
Whether you leave it residential.
with houses, we just zone that as
That's correct.
a single family dwelling.
Again,
Yeah.
But that would be the only commercial development.
Yeah.
the things to consider are what is it around, what are the current owners? You can zone it to however you want it to be. The question to consider. What I'm saying is you can zone, you make the map how you want it to make. The issue to consider is if it's a current blank lot, empty lot that's owned by somebody, is there a possibility that they purchased it with the intent of there are businesses around here, or there are residences around here, or there are multifamily residences around here. I bought it for the purpose of building a multifamily residence house, and now after I purchased that, the city came in and said I can only do a single family residence. I feel as though that's restricting the purpose for what I bought it for, the value's now less, and I may try to take my claim against the city.
But they have a
for lowering
one-time
it.
chance to come in and express that at our zoning.
Absolutely, don't get to learn about
And if
that.
they don't express it, then we say,
Yeah.
you had your chance, this is
And that's
done.
going to happen, right? We're going to have, there's going to be some
And we can
cases.
talk about those exceptions if somebody comes in. and-
That doesn't kill their case, but it wounds their case very badly. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Scott, you kind of got an idea of what we're needing ahead of the next get together on this?
Yeah.
And are y'all going to give him some further input too, between now and then?
Yes, I like to get to that point.
I know, no, I like it. So, and I think he's got kind of where we're at on this. You're going to leave some properties
Me and
uncovered.
Greg have already started our map,
Okay, oh, that's good.
but we would love it if anybody wants to stop on color with us, stop on color.
All right, any other discussion on item 3? Okay, council, moving on to item 4, Roman 4, Section 4, Phase 2, road assessments and any action thereof. What's that?
That is correct.
That's what the piece of paper.
You want to start here?
You're up, Greg, I think you're gonna start this, I guess.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to put all of this together, similar to, well, your agreement is in place, but similar to how we did the assessments in Section 4, Phase 1. And it's more of a question than a statement, but make sure that's what you guys are looking for. Is there were a lot of conversation getting to where we ended up, and one of them had to do with corner lots. The assessments on corner lots is do we only assess the frontage and not the side portion of that, and it ended up where all frontage or anything touching right of way was assessed. So there wasn't anything dropped out. It was just the corner lots had more assessment on that. The other there was no roadside ditch work done, drainage work done in Phase 1. In Phase 2, drainage is part of the project. And so in Phase 1, the assessment was just for the paving.
Okay.
In the discussion back then, it kind of came up like sidewalks. If you were to put the sidewalk in, you would assess only for the sidewalk, and in this case, only for the pavement. So in this phase, what we're bidding it right now, and it's for drainage, including roadside ditches and outfalls. So we can take this and break it out to where drainage is not included, roadside ditches are not included in the assessment. We can just do paving, or we can take the combined roads and roadside ditches and not include the outfall improvement money for it. We'll just combine everything, and whatever the price is on a linear foot basis is what's assessed. It's split across the properties.
My understanding was the assessments were for road improvements only. I mean, that was my understanding of it.
I would agree, and I would
And it
also,
was public.
given the discussion we just had about restricting property to single-family residential, I would make the motion that we restrict it to only the frontage at the front of the house for the assessment, so corner lots don't pay twice, because they don't have a value from two sides being paved. It may detract from the benefit of having that corner lot. So for instance, on Roman Forest, where some of them have been assessed, now they're wanting to assess the side, the home that's there now gets no benefit. I don't think it's fair to make them pay for something that they're not getting a benefit, and actually probably detracts from their value or their desirability of the lot, now that they're gonna have a stop sign and a road next to them. So, yeah.
So on the lots on Roman Forest,
How many lots are those?
the lots on the north side of Roman Forest are not
Corners, it's 4.
They weren't assessed because there was no road improvement.
There was no road, the county did the road improvement. The one-
Correct, but they're living there now, they paid full price for the lot, they built a home, and we're considering going back and saying you owe $10,000
We wouldn't, we
for
were
a side road that you're never going to use and you don't
right.
have
So
a
those
driveway.
corners, the 15,
Is there addresses on
those
That
two
one?
there.
Right. So they,
That's-
That one?
I agree they weren't assessed, but they did already build their home, they bought their lot, and they never saw this coming, that, hey, at some time in the future, you're gonna have to pay for that road going in beside your house that you don't want.
And their address is the boulevard, am I correct?
Yeah, if you direct us to go frontage,
Your driveway there.
that's the easy, those drop out automatically. The other is that the lots on Roman Forest won't be part of the assessment, even though because there's no road improvements being done in front of their homes.
And then, but you've got some corner lots as you go into the new development and you're only going to assess them on the side that their driveway is on, correct?
So
Is what we're talking about.
all four of these lots where the turn-in is, that one, that has a house, that's a big open field. She owns all three lots, her house is in the middle, and then his house is there. All four of them have driveways to the front. Ryan has already told me, that's why you have this paper in front of you. The last four people on there are the four lots we're talking about right now.
He wants to assess them to lower the
He wants
cost
to
per
assess
house.
them because he says they're gaining from that. On the original emails that he sent, they were not in there. Later on, I could go with the date, I should have asked you, Scott, earlier, we should look it up. Later on, he sent the email that said Scott needs to add these four to the spreadsheet. Those are the four lots that he wanted to add later on to it. He and I had this conversation about this the other day. He says he's not taking them off, he's gonna assess them. I told him any lawyer fees we need to talk about, put in the contract, that he's gonna incur when they don't want to pay it, or be assessed, or all of a sudden, they've got a lien against their house because we assessed it for $20,000 down that side. And I don't think that, my opinion to him was that their driveway's not on that street.
I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's full disclosure if they didn't know that was a risk when they bought the house.
With the exception of the blank lot, the other, so I'll just say my opinion on the three that's built out.
Yeah.
No, that is totally, they should not be.
No, the blank lot could
The
go
blank lot could go
on
either
side.
way. So
I agree.
I'm not really pushing on that one, but the three that's already built out with a driveway and an address on the boulevard, no.
And that was part of what
And
the contract that we're talking about signing
Yeah.
in 2 weeks. I think we need to really, with all the changes we were making the other night, this needs to be something that we discuss. I invited him to come tonight. Usually when I invite him, he comes, but I haven't heard from
Well,
him in a week.
we're at a workshop, we're just discussing it anyway, so.
Yes, sir.
But, I think my council would agree. I think he needs to probably take those three off of it. That would be my advice to him.
Well, if the direction from council is don't assess sidewalks, then it automatically drops off because these are all sidewalks.
Okay, and what about, I'm just, what if you here, you turned on it, you got this corner lot right here, they're gonna get assessed on the side and on the front. right?
No, I would just, how do we handle those four? Out on the two on Dogwood, the two on
If
Division?
they assess the ones in the corners inside the development, that's just raising the price that he sells the lot for, and I don't know if that affects us. Right, somebody just doesn't buy that lot if they don't like the assessment.
Yeah, the builder was buying it.
That's his risk, right?
Yes, sir.
But and I would agree that the one that's undeveloped, I am less convinced one way or the other. When we were talking about that potentially being a commercial lot, I thought it added value, right? Because if somebody's gonna put in a Dunkin' Donuts there, now they have two ways to get into it. But if we're gonna say it's single-family residential, then I don't think it adds value.
And I think that's the way we lean it to make it.
Yeah, she's already, is that, are you talking about the one that's already owned by the woman who lives in the middle lot and her?
No, sir, this one is
That's a different-
completely
okay,
undeveloped.
never.
It's just a lot that potentially, it's large enough that it could be commercial.
Okay.
But it's,
Oh,
right now, it's just a vacant lot.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I agree with Mayor.
Which one is the,
Which one is the blank one, Scott?
that is 151480 at the bottom? The second from the bottom.
So that is an unbuilt. That one there can go either way. That's, but the ones that's already built out, no, that's not, that should not be.
The only, I
And he says he's still going to assess.
don't know, 151480, does somebody else owns it, so
What's
it's,
that?
I think 151480 has a house on it, so does 151454.
no, I think,
Which one?
I thought that,
Scott.
Yeah, which
The
one's,
first half houses on them.
which one's
That
selected?
one that's lit up right there where Mitch's hand is.
this one's built, this is built, this is built,
Both of them are built.
this is
She
three
has
lots.
three
combined
lots,
to
she's
one.
in the middle of it.
This lot is not.
That is the lot right there that is not anything.
It's cleared, but it's not built.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the 1480, you got the arrow over.
Yeah.
That's the one on
And I
there.
don't know how long that person has owned
Yeah,
that.
40.
He's hiding the number on me.
I'm pretty sure it's in there.
Uh,
There you go.
Where's 15, 16, 28 at?
28?
That one's not one of these, it's just, it's messed up in the formatting because of
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah, it's the
something.
bottom
trust.
four on there.
So it's only the bottom four.
It's the bottom four.
So bottom three that we're,
The ones that,
I mean, the
actually, the 481 is the one that really you're not wanting to take out of it. It's 5493, 600.
okay.
And the,
And you're saying with the language that we're not assessing side lots, that would take care of that automatically?
so
Yeah, if you're not assessing side lots, then all 4 of those lots, we wouldn't look at any of those 4.
question for the attorney. The gentleman that owns the one that's not developed, the one that's highlighted there, do they have any argument if we don't assess it on the other 3 that we can't assess it on him? Or do we have legal standing that if the other 3 have single-family homes on them, so we're not assessing it because he hasn't built, we are assessing it, he's paying something that the other 3 have not paid? I just don't want to put a lien on it, have it rejected by this guy, and then somehow the city becomes responsible for it.
I'm not aware of any, I mean,
I think our rationale is good, I just don't know the legal.
I'm not aware of any kind of just general, just anti-discriminatory practices with regard to street assessment lots if their house is getting, if the street is getting assessed on, and they're, the lot they're adjacent to, choosing one and not the other. I'm not aware of any specific,
So we have somebody in the audience that
anti-discrimination.
faced this where she got an assessment where other people did not, and I want to
I
make
mean,
sure.
so long as there is a logic to it of why you're doing it, and they're also getting a letter that comes and says, come in here, have a discussion, and they can see it and say, well, why am I being pointed out? And you can explain to them why.
And our contract with Thornberry does say pay if paid, so if for some
Right.
reason they don't pay it, they fight it, then we're not under an obligation to pay for them. Okay.
I like it. Anything else, Greg?
No.
Council, anything else on this subject?
When do you think you'll have the assessments available? Because we can't go forward with the contract till we have the street assessment ordinance, and we have to have the assessment values before we can do the street assessment ordinance to go forward with the contract, correct? All right, there's a chicken and an egg.
Town hall meeting. We have to have a town hall meeting
For the assessments?
for the assessments. They get their
Okay.
letters that says they can
But
come
we
talk
have to have the
about it.
value to do the town hall meeting.
It was supposed to be on this coming month. We had talked about it, but we're not ready. So it won't be till July.
So this phase 2A is being, that bid is being opened the Monday of the council. And so ideally, we take that project and we use the bid prices and we extrapolate into phase 2B and get as good a number as we can get.
And we're not held to what we put in the ordinance. I think when I went back and looked at the ordinance from 2020, it was at $57 a foot, but when the assessments actually went out, it was $80 a foot because of the actual construction price.
Yeah, it's what the cost going up, which is more like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not held to that value, but we have to have that value to have the town hall and to write the ordinance.
Don't you have two town
Then we
halls?
did an estimate of cost, and then there was provisions in there, so when the project was bid.
I think it's just one town hall.
There's just one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, any other discussion on this, council? You want any questions for me? Good?
Do we need to make a decision on that third lot, or are we just saying that?
We can't make a decision.
Oh,
We can't make any
I'm sorry.
decisions now, but, yeah.
Correct.
So what we'll do is, we'll lay out the spreadsheet with the assessments, and then there'll be a column over here that'll have side lots, which is what we did in phase 1. If you did side lots, this is what the cost would be.
So I think what we're saying though is for that, for the preview of the assessments, the 3 with homes on them on Roman Forest, we would like to exclude, and the one without a home, you can include
Yeah.
for your baseline, and then we'll have further discussions.
I agree with that, yes.
And then from that, you can make direct.
Right. So call it a concession to Thornberry for one, but we're not the other three.
All right. We are complete on number 3, moving on to number 4. So council at this time, sorry, moving number 4. Moving on to 5. At this time, council, we do need to adjourn into closed executive session. So we are going to take a 5-minute break. It is 6:41, and then we will come back and open a closed session.
We can go out to our imaginary offices out
Yeah,
there.
we
We
can.
take orange paint,
We'll stand in the parking lot.
walk out there like we'll pretend we're.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't hear the gavel, did you? council, we're back in our regular meeting. We have nothing that well, it's not even on here. We're not gonna, this is a workshop, we're not voting on anything. So I would just need a motion and a second and a vote to retire for the evening.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion we adjourn for the evening.
I have a motion on the floor, Councilman Lane to adjourn for the evening. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Councilman Sanders. All in favor of adjournment? It is unanimous. This meeting is adjourned at 7:13.